Hey, thank you very much for having me here today. I'm super excited. And yeah, hello everyone. My name is Kirsten Hoyer, and today we are talking about how to create a strategic social media content plan. So a couple words about me. And this is me in the picture because you just hear my voice today. I help nonprofit organizations to create more impact by building outstanding brands and marketing strategy. And together with my partner, I founded Nonprofit Today in 2009. And since then, we have been working with small and medium-sized nonprofit organizations throughout Canada. I truly believe that nonprofits are the heart in every community and that they are the ones who initiate change. And despite of all the challenges that come with running a nonprofit, they are so passionate about what they do and willing to put in the work that is needed to initiate change. And I am always so super inspired and fascinated by that. So, and when we came to Canada in 2005 and were introduced to the nonprofit culture, I knew that this is what we wanted to do, and that is why we started with Nonprofit Today and work with only nonprofits and help them to get the word out with what they do and create more impact and initiate change. So what will we cover today? We want to cover how to define your target audience and connect on an emotional level through authentic storytelling, no matter if it's video or Facebook Live, stories or posts, and how to create an editorial content plan that can be used across multiple platforms, and how to map out a month's worth of content in one afternoon using the 5-pillar framework. Woohoo! I think that's what we all want to find out today. And how to create engaging content that positions your organization as authority in your field, and then how to clearly communicate your brand message and differentiate your cause from others. So before we dive into the presentation, I would like to know, how much time do you spend managing your social media profiles? We would like to run a little poll. So just to let me know, like, how much time are you spending on social media? I think we have like 30, 60, 90 minutes or more. So, and like, you know, specifically, there is really a dedicated person who just does that one thing. And usually there are programs that you need to develop, events that need to be organized, grant applications that need to be written, and so on. And you know, social media is often just a side desk of thing, and sometimes it's even like it's hard to explain the return on invest to your ED or even the board. So it's always good to know, like, how much time are my fellow nonprofit communicators spending on social media and managing their social media profiles.
That's great, Kristen. So I've got the poll up on the screen, and if everyone would like to just take a second and just go ahead and click the answer that resonates for you. I can see, yeah, okay, we've got most people voted now. So I'm just going to close and share this so that everyone can get a chance to take a look. So Kirsten, we've got the bulk sitting at 30 minutes, 55%. Then we have 45 minutes at 14%, 60 minutes at 15%, 90 minutes at 6%, and more than 90 minutes at 11%.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is still like a lot of work. If you just imagine it, you also need to research the content and do all of that. So thank you very much for doing that. So let's jump in. So I was looking for the best picture to start this presentation, and the roller coaster came up. So I thought this is the right graphic to start this, because I think it really nails it. Who here doesn't feel like being in a roller coaster from time to time when it comes to social media? I think we all know that the secret of getting out of that roller coaster is to have a strategic plan in place, and that is why we are all here today. So I'm a mom, and I always compare having a social media plan with creating a meal plan in advance, like having a meal plan in advance and go shopping once a week enables me to be worry free about the whole cooking thing during the week, and I can spend more time with my family. So same with the social media content calendar. If we plan everything ahead, we have more time to engage with our audience online. And with this webinar today, I really want to help you to escape the constant feeling of up and down that is caused by sitting in this roller coaster. So I created the 5-pillar system because I was so frustrated myself. I thought to myself, if I'm frustrated as digital marketer, how do my clients feel? So I thought, how can we go from a couple great posts to having a framework in place that not only helps get engagement with individual posts, but also like build your brand online, and something that can be used no matter who's working on it. Because what I have found is that oftentimes you attend webinars and you get really good ideas on what to post and what tools to use and what tactics work best. But often I find that something really important is missing, and that is to define your brand. Like, because if you don't define your brand first, you end up posting things that are not lasting, and you end up in this hamster wheel of not knowing what to post because you haven't really identified what the essence is of who you want to reach and who you are. So you end up looking only for inspiration from the outside and great single post ideas rather than what you have to offer from the inside. And that was when I came up with the idea of the 5 pillars. And so in today's webinar now, I want to help you to get the bird's eye view of your organization, and that helps you to be more sustainable. So this webinar is not about the latest features or algorithm changes on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. This is really about a framework that you can use and that is sustainable. Okay, so now, enough words, let's dive in. I did a survey, I think last year, and I wanted to know what are the main problems when it comes to social media. So you might have guessed it. The main problem that most nonprofits have, at least the one that I talked to, was not enough time and capacity. And so in small nonprofits, it's usually something that social media is done on top of all the other work. And so you have programs to run and events to organize and so on. And oftentimes social media is just part of an official job description and falls under other duties as assigned. So not enough time and capacity is the question when. And then the next thing that, or the next issue that was there was not knowing what to post. And oftentimes it's a struggle to be authentic and to even find your voice online and differentiate your cause from others and reach your audience. And that then often results in an inconsistent social media presence. And that means that your social media profile doesn't really stand out from the rest. You don't differentiate yourself from others. And sometimes there's even the thought you're competing with other nonprofits, which isn't really true, because you are you and there's nobody else that offers the services the way you do them. So this is the question of what to post. And then the third big issue was no system. And when you have no system and no process in place, guess what happens? You start more or less from scratch every time. And that again costs time, which you don't have anyways. So the process is missing, and it would be really hard for others to take over when you're on vacation. I don't know about you, but I know a couple of my clients, and they have to do the social media work even when they're on vacation, or they have to plan ahead. So this is a question of how. We have the what, we have the when, and then there's the how. So today I will show you how the 5-pillar system can help you to put an end to this. So let's look at social media and what it is and why we are on social media anyways. So as we all know, social media is relationship building online, and we want people to know, like, and trust us. So therefore we need to follow the rules of relationship building that we usually do when we meet people in person. So if we meet someone for the first time in real life, we usually don't ask them, hey, do you want to marry me? That would be actually really creepy. So instead of you following, so we need to follow the rules of that relationship building, which means we meet and then we chat and then we might have a coffee, so we get to know each other. And if we look from the view of an organization, what does it mean? I would like to know, like, what do you do? Why do you do it? Who are the people that do the work? Because I don't want to see just the organization. I want to see the people that are behind it. What do you stand for? What is your opinion on things? What are you against? And where does my money go if I volunteer or donate to your organization? I'm interested in that because I want to find out, how do I fit in? How do I fit in with you? And do I want to engage with you? And then the like is about, I want to find out, what values do we have? Are they similar? Is there anything that I can learn from you? Can you inspire me? Are you funny? Like, do I want to spend an afternoon with you or not? Like, how personal are you? Are you authentic? Are you interesting? So this is the like. And then the trust is basically all of the above. You want to be authentic and you want to be there over time and relevant and at the right spot at the right time. So this is basically the essence of all of that. And of course, we want to get our followers from being just online to become actual members. So looking at this, I think there needs to be like 3 shifts that need to happen that helps us to with these 3 main problems. And I would like to go through all 3 of them. So the first one is from not knowing what to post to knowing what your audience wants. And this is the most critical point, because usually we think from our point of view, and we are trying to post about things that we do assume that people would be interested in or that we like. And on a typical day, we might check what others are posting to get some ideas. We check what awareness days are coming up or what we can promote, what quotes can we post to inspire others, are there any news that we can share, and so on and so on and so on. So, and oftentimes this then on top happens in silos. Like, you might be managing your social media account for your nonprofit, and you might need information from someone else in your organization, and that would be actually really helpful for you in that moment, but you just don't know what they do. So, and that brings me to the point, like, who are the people that you want to reach? So when we post something to social media, we always want to make sure that that's engaging to the people that we want to reach, because our followers are constantly asking, what can I gain from reading or watching this right now? Like, why is she posting this? And will I learn something new? Will I be entertained? What's in it for me? Is there something that inspires me? How can they make me a better person? And that brings me to the next point. Who is the person, or who are the people that you are trying to reach? And so in order to find out who they are, we need to get to know them. And this is the secret, guys. It's not about what we think or what you think matters. It's about what they think. So it's with all the online communication, no matter if it's your website or what you put out, it doesn't matter what you think. If they are not interested in it, it doesn't matter. So in order to find out what they think, we need to get to know them. We need to find out who they are. So when I start working with my clients, I usually ask, one of my first questions is, who is your audience? So I ask you, like, who is your audience? And you know what, the most common answer that I get is, well, we want to reach the community. And while this is true, there's just one big issue with it, because just because you think your cause is the most important to support doesn't matter that they think it is. And while it may feel that reaching the whole community is exactly what is the right thing to do, because you want to get your message out to as many people as possible. It is just impossible to do that because everyone is different. And even I sometimes argue with my husband because we have different opinions. So imagining like putting one message out to so many people, that it's not possible that they all agree and that they all like you. So everybody is not your audience. You want to reframe that to specific people in the community. Because if you want to reach them all with the same message, you would need to be very broad. And if you are very broad, people won't engage with you. And then the result is that if you try to reach them all, you will reach nobody. So, and this is why, so when we create strategies for branding and marketing and social media, we want to narrow down who we are marketing to, so that we really understand what they want and how we can connect with them. And that is easier when we imagine a single person than a big group. So figuring out pains and struggles from an individual person is way easier than trying to address a problem of many people. So when you create a newsletter or write a fundraising campaign, a blog post, an email, or a post to social media, you want them to think, oh my God, how is it possible that they just read my mind? Like, how do they know what's going on in my life? And so this is why a common practice is to create a persona avatar. In case you have never heard about that term, a persona avatar is really simple. It's a fictional character that we make up that stands for one of your clients. And when I do that with my clients, they have super fun with it. So we come up with a fictional character, and while they describe it, what usually happens is exactly that person's enters the door, and we all look at each other and we think, how is that even possible? So, and I just want to do that with you. And the easiest way to do that, because it can be daunting, or you can, it might be hard to come up with ideas. So we need really to get in their head. And the best way to do is following them throughout the day. And if you want to do that, make some notes while I'm talking about this, please be free. And the reason behind this exercise is to get you thinking from the perspective of your potential client or donor or volunteer. So in the real world, you would create this persona avatar for each of those segments. And we do that because we want to know how they speak, because we need to speak in their language so that they understand what we want. Okay, let's dive in. This is Mary. Let's imagine for a moment that you are a nonprofit who lends medical equipment like wheelchairs, crutches, walkers, etc. And this is Mary. She is 43 years old and she lives in Winnipeg. She works as an admin assistant in an architecture firm. She is married, she has 2 kids. Her girl is 8, she goes to elementary school, and her son goes to middle school. Her parents have health issues. Her dad is 75, her mom is 72. And unfortunately, her dad just had a hip replacement. So you've got this. So what we wanna do is we wanna follow Mary throughout her day. So when she wakes up in the morning, what does she think? So I'm imagining she wakes up and she is a bit anxious because this is going on in her head today. She has a proposal deadline that is coming up at work. There's a conference in 2 weeks that she needs still to organize. Her boss, who is super nice but not organized at all, he needs to get some information to her today. Her daughter has an assembly at school. She wants to watch her girl singing, and therefore she needs to leave early from work today, which creates an extra stress because of that proposal deadline that she has to work on. Then her son has soccer practice that evening. Her husband is on a business trip, so he's not at help at all today. Then she wants to visit her dad in the hospital, and you know what? She's wondering how he is recovering from his surgery. And then there is her mom, who will be managing. How will she be managing the new situation when he comes home? And that reminds her that she has kind of, like, she needs to figure out how to get a wheelchair for her dad, because he definitely will need a wheelchair when he comes home. And she has heard that it can be quite expensive to rent a wheelchair, and that they are hard to get. So you're probably already in the mood of like Mary and what is going on with her. So let's go on. So her greatest concern in her career. So this, now we want to see like what is going on in their professional life. So her greatest concern is being stuck in this cubicle forever, helping others to get their stuff done and not making a difference with the work she does is really upsetting her a little bit. So she knows that she is capable of so much more. She is wondering if she could even start her own business or maybe look for a different job. And as her kids get older, she is wondering if they could maybe volunteer together. She wants to get out more in the community, meet other people that care about the same things. So she is not super happy where she is right now. And then we want to find out what is going on in her personal life. So in her personal life, she is concerned about her parents' health, obviously, and how they manage after her dad's hip surgery. She is worried about not having enough time for her kids. She is very concerned about climate change and how the future will be for her children. She tries to do her part, buy locally, avoid single-use items, and so on, and cooking from scratch to have a healthy diet. So then we want to find out what are her dreams. Where does she want to be in 3 years from now or 5? So Mary, in 3 years from now, wants to have her own business, and she wants to be in a job where she can truly make a difference. She hasn't really figured out what yet, but that's at least what she is dreaming of. She wants to be more involved in the community and support local causes. She wants to go on a family trip, and these thoughts make her feel excited and needed. So now let's see what she's doing during the day. So during lunch, she researches some organizations to find out where she can rent a wheelchair for her dad. She talks to her mom and find out that her dad is doing okay, so that is good. But her mom is worried because her dad will need extra care, and her mom is not really sure if she can handle it all by herself. So Mary is wondering if her dad and her mom might need to move in with her so that they can better help her parents. And this, I don't know how you would feel, but this makes her feel worried again. So then after work, she quickly stops at the grocery store, and then she wants to head to soccer to see her son. And then dog food is out as well, of course. And she wonders if she maybe should skip cooking tonight and just get some pizza so that she can have more time visiting her dad. And this makes her feel, I don't know, stressed as well. So this is a glimpse into Mary's life. And I hope that this exercise already helps you to change perspective. So what now? Life is tough, my darling, but so are you. Imagining again, you are that nonprofit that lends medical equipment. And at the end of the day, like how can you help Mary to become the person she wants to be and to be inspired, to help her solve a problem, the problem with her parents, to make the positive impact that she wants to have in the community, make her laugh. Like, how can you help Mary to become that person and worry less about her dad? So as nonprofit, as a nonprofit lending medical equipment, what can you do that Mary might be interested in? And so a common question that I usually get is like, how do you come up with those characters? Are they just are you imagining them? Are they real? And they're usually different ways. So yes, we're imagining them, but we're imagining a perfect client, like just imagine one. Another good idea is also interviewing them. And that is something that I do all the time when we create, when we rebrand or brand, because when you interview people, you will find a common thread. So back to Mary though, like once you went through her day, what I usually do is I fill out like a sheet like this, and I put in like the information that I think are important, like what goals does she have, what challenges does she face, pains and frustrations, and questions that she might have, or what objections or decision might she have, and what would make her not wanting to use your service. And then also like what sources of information does she use? Like obviously she's probably searching Google, but what social media channels does she use? Does she go on conferences? Like are there specific newspapers or online magazines that she looks at? So what is it? So you're trying to get as much information as possible, and you can then create an avatar, as I said, like for a client, but also for the volunteer or for a donor. Like you can have a couple of those, but not too many, because you want to focus on specific needs. So the next shift, so that was shift one, from not knowing what to post to knowing what your audience wants. So we know now who they are. The next shift is from just posting to building your brand online and to position your organization as authority in your field, and through that differentiate your cause from others. So this is important because you don't want just likes to one or two posts. You also want people to get to know, like, and trust you. So if, for example, you only share news, this might be relevant for me, or in this case for Mary, but I won't really connect on a deeper level because I don't know who you are. I know you are sharing interesting stuff that interests me, but I don't know what the people are behind it. So it's really important to connect this with the bigger picture and your organization. So how do we do that? Ta-da! We need a magic wand. So if it happens that you don't have a magic wand, there is a process behind it. And the trick is we have to align what they want with what we offer. So they want something and we offer it, and we need to align it in terms of how we talk and how we put the information out so that they understand that. And we need to talk in the same language so that they get what we say. So let's take a look. I don't know if you have been aware of that. So 90% of our decisions are based on emotions and habits, from getting up in the morning, deciding what to wear, what to eat, brushing teeth, getting to work. Things that we do are usually habitual, and they are based on emotions and habits that we have learned over many, many years. When you're born as a child, like all these, everything just comes unfiltered into your mind, and this is how you grow, and you develop a habit out of that. And sometimes it's really hard to get out of that habit if you want to change it. But really, what does that mean for us when it comes to marketing and social media? That means that we need to connect on an emotional level. So like there is the level of, we understand what we say, but then there is the emotional level. And usually when you make a decision, you verify with your mind, but then the decision itself, you decide because of your feelings and your gut, basically. So we want people to act and to do something, and that might be liking a post or sharing it or commenting. And on a broader level, that means we want engagement in any form, like becoming a volunteer, a donor, wanting to work for us, using the services, or referring us. So these are all actions that we want to achieve. And that also means that we need to know what the other person wants and feels and thinks, their hopes, their dreams, their wishes. And this is why we just went through this exercise with Mary. So the magic now lies in the alignment. When we talk about our programs and our services, there are always two sides of the story. And this is now the magic wand. Like, there are two things: what you do literally and what you offer emotionally. So let's imagine, like, you offer consulting firms, you offer consulting for families and couples, and that is one of your services. So you would say, we offer consulting for families. That is what you do literally. But what does it mean for a family on an emotional level? You actually help them to succeed in their relationship, or to be better parents and to live a happier life. So there's a difference. When you talk to me and say, I help you to succeed in your relationship, then this is connected to my hopes and to my dreams and what I want to achieve, because I don't really want consulting or coaching. What I want is a better life, a better relationship. So for me, to do the consulting or to come to you would be, if you connect with me on an emotional level, then I would come, more than just reading. You do consulting services. So let's take a look at Mary again. So let's go back to that example earlier. You are a nonprofit that lends medical equipment. What do you sell, or what do you offer? Literally, medical equipment. You offer crutches, wheelchairs, walkers. But now let's think about Mary and her parents. Her dad had a hip replacement, and if he can't walk, what does it mean? It means he's stuck at home. He can't take part in any activities as he used to. He finds himself suddenly dependent on his wife and on other people. And for his wife, that means more stress, because she has to do the things that her husband did before. So, and while Mary comes to get a wheelchair for her dad, she also has all those things in mind, because the wheelchair is just a thing that she needs so that her dad or her parents can live or can continue to live how they did before. And then also Mary has in her mind, of course, like, what happens now? Like, does she have to, do they move in with me now? So what does the wheelchair mean to her and her family? So it's so much more than just this wheelchair. So looking at that, what are you selling, or what is your service emotionally? What is it? It's not just a wheelchair or the walker. It is independence, mobility, and dignity. Taking part in everyday activities, being part of the society, seeing friends, going out, having fun, going on with life as normal as possible. All those things that they could not find if you weren't there. So you are much, much more than just this wheelchair or just this walker. You are really can be an important part of their life. If you weren't there, she would not have access to all of that. So this means we need to connect on an emotional level. So for you, if you think about that now, what that might mean for your organization and your nonprofit, ask yourself, how do you want people to feel when they use your services? Like in terms of Mary, like, we want her to feel relieved. We want her to help her to manage the situation. So through defining what services we offer emotionally, we can then connect on an emotional level. And once you have figured that out, you can apply that to any channel or any post, like no matter if it's a video or a post or a story or Instagram. Like if you have one overarching strategy, like you can apply that to any channel basically. So with that having in mind, who your audience is and what you can do for them on an emotional level as well as on a service level, you can now position yourself in a very, very different way, because suddenly you're not just one organization of many who lends medical equipment. You help families and individuals in their most vulnerable times to stay independent, mobile, and have dignity. So this is how you can raise your profile and can own it. And no matter what you do with your nonprofit, find out what is it emotionally that you can help your clients with, or your volunteers, or your donors. Like, what is it that they want to become that you can help them with? When you do that, you're not competing with others, because you are differentiating yourself through the services and through the emotions that you create. People that come to you are not going anywhere else for the same service, because their story now becomes your story. And their story, again, has impact on your end, because you can now inspire others with that. So when Mary comes in to get a wheelchair, you can share how this piece of equipment makes her life easier. So a couple ideas for posts would be, you can quote her, you can have a photo of a volunteer adjusting the wheelchair, you can show how equipment will be cleaned, you can create a video of how she walks out with it, you can just have her smiling and do a video with that, you can ask her if she if you can have an interview with her. You can implement stats, like if, for example, you lend, I don't know, let's say 100 pieces of equipment in a week. You can say, this is Mary, she just got a wheelchair from us to help her dad who just had a hip replacement. And by the way, we are lending out 500 or 50 pieces of equipment every week. And so this then becomes part of the story. So this is the second shift, creating posts that connect on an emotional level. So now the final shift that we all have been waiting for, from feeling overwhelmed and posting last minute to having a framework in place and feeling calm, structured, and confident. So this is really, now that we know how to connect emotionally, we want to put that in a system so that we can move from being overwhelmed to calm and structured. And I found that, I don't know about you, but most content calendars feel really overwhelming just looking at them. Like, there are spreadsheets and lines, and I'm a creative person and I cannot do this. I need something really simple. And what I also find, the bird's eye view often gets lost with that. So the question is now, how? And so this is the 5-pillar content I have created, and it basically has those 5 pillars. And the first pillar is brand, and the second is authority, community, inspiration, and promotion. So when you think in those pillars, you can define on a broader level what you want to share in order for your audience to know, like, and trust you. So the first step to apply this content is to fill those pillars or buckets with content. And at this stage, just don't think about if you're doing a video with that, or an Instagram story, or just a post. Like, just think high level. The goal is here to brainstorm content for those 5 areas. If you have a piece, if you have a pen and a paper, just go right ahead and work with me here. So let's dive right in. Let's start with the first pillar. So the first pillar is brand, and that is one of my favorite, because branding is not just a logo or colors. Branding is what people think about you when you are not in the room. It's not about your logo and your color. It's about an overall feeling that people have about your organization, because brands are built in people's minds. It's the sum of many things, like from seeing your post in the feed, to hearing the voice of the receptionist on the phone, the music that you put on when people are on hold, the way you greet your clients when they come in, your culture, like, are you funny or are you serious? Like, who are those people that make things happen? And your organization that make things, like, are you Are you the organization that makes things possible, or is it rather complicated to work with you? Like, these are all things that create those brand in people's minds. And like, always, like, remember, like, people want to build relationship with other people and not organizations. And that is why it is so important to create content that is authentic and that shows your culture and your people and behind the scenes. Because remember, we want to connect emotionally. So then there is the point of, like, we talk about brand positioning. And so this is when I'm Mary and I am in contact with this organization that lends medical equipment, I might ask if I want to support them, because oftentimes people that bring back equipment, they might donate. So I'm asking, like, how does the brand makes me look? Like, if I am an organization that wants to support you, would I want to put your logo on my website to show that I support you? And what does the product or the service do for me? And how does the brand make me feel? Like, if I support that organization, does it make me happy? Does it bring me joy? And how would I describe your organization, the service or the product? So these are things that are going on in their mind. So when you create the brand buckets, and you will get the slides later, so like, you want to really think about, what do you want people to think when you are not in the room? You cannot you can influence it, but in a specific way, of course, with the messages that you put out. And they are asking, like, why do you do what you do? What are your beliefs? And you want to put more out than just a vision statement. What do you bring to the table that others don't? Like, even if others do similar things, you have your own process. You have your own people, your own culture. Like, what do you stand for and what against, and why? What are the values? Why should I care? Why should Mary care how you guys work? Who are the people? What do they do? Like, how does a typical day look like? How can you help me emotionally and literally? Like, that's what we just talked about. And what are the stories that you can connect with all of that? What are the stories that you can connect with your why? Are there any bold promises that you can make? And what do you care about, and why should I care? So these are all things that we want to consider if we are creating content for brand. So just a quick examples that I pulled from small nonprofits, like this one is here is United Way, and they show Shelley, who is just rolling up socks. So I don't know Shelley, but so I see that this is a glimpse of what they do. And the other one is from Turning Point, and they just they got a donation, so they show their gratitude and what they do. So the next pillar is authority. So what does authority mean? In order for your supporters to trust you, they need to see content that shows your knowledge and your competence. So you want to be educational, and you also want to position your organization and your people as authority. So examples could be like case studies, testimonials, questions, and question and answer sessions, news articles, and so on. So questions to ask and to fill that bucket would be content that shows your knowledge, creating key messages that clearly state what you do. And so there could be like a whole separate webinar just about key messages, but basically you want to say, you could say like a problem, the solution, and the happy ending. So with Mary, the problem is she doesn't have a wheelchair, and the solution is that you have that, and the happy ending is emotionally that she can go on with her life, or help her dad to be part in activities as he used to. Yeah, you could use case studies, answer common questions, so all of it, like brainstorm ideas. What is a typical myth? What are influencers that you might follow in your niche you get to get more content ideas? So examples here from one cause team, like they have a key finding and then they talk about it. Then like on the left, opioids don't discriminate, that was an exhibit that we did. And so we show like what is going on, and we showcase that. That is the authority content. And pillar number 3 is community. So with community, it's basically you being out there building community. Are there any local businesses that you would like to support? What are strategic partnerships with other nonprofits that you can develop? What news do you want to share? What kinds of events do you want to share? What news channels do you follow to get ideas? What awareness days are important for you? So all of that is another bucket. So you write all of that down. And if you are working on that, it's good to do that in the team and just brainstorm, just burp it out there, make a big list. You can make a big list as much as possible. So examples, the Reading Museum and Art Gallery here, they are mentioning the Norwegian Love Tours. So these are all like small nonprofits that go out. On the left, like Fast and Female, that is also a nonprofit, and they made a strategic partnership with Rocky Mountain Soap, I think, and they are a small business and they help them to get their message across. So pillar number 4, and I know the time is running, we're almost at the end. So pillar number 4, inspiration. This might be the easiest because I know I'm a visionary. I always have ideas how to inspire others and come up with cool ideas. So basically, motivational quotes, questions, how you engage others. Like, for example, how can you be kind today, or like how can you pay it forward? Like engage people online. You can have stories of volunteers, of donors, of staff, or even like other inspirational stories that you find in the news. Like everything that inspires, and always thinking of, what would Mary think? Would she like it? Would it help her? If she scrolls through my social media feed at night, does it bring a laugh or a smile on her face? Examples could be like, like a quote on the right. I have this was an inspiring story from an orthodontist that went to Ethiopia and helped 500 children with his services. So these are some examples. And then the last pillar is promotional. So you want to really with that, we don't really, on social media, we don't want to sell, but we can soft promote, meaning like explaining what difference a small donation can make. When you have a fundraising campaign coming up, I know, or links to reports on your website, stats that then leads to something else. So these are all like promotional ideas. Here another idea from A Better World, like they are featuring this donor. He gave a birthday gift, and this inspires others, but it was leading into like another campaign. And then there is like the mustard seed, who has a winter magic avalanche of toys. So let's put this all together. You know who your audience is. You know how to align with their needs. You have your branding statements written down. You have your key messages that clearly state what you do and your authority. You know what influencer to follow. You know what awareness days are important, and you know what you want to, who you want to support in your community. So now, this is now where everything comes together. Hang on, guys. So bird's eye view. So this is what I do. I have my year, and really easy. I try to come up with overarching topics or goals for the month, and then I write them down. And if there's an awareness day, I put it down. And I also write down what kind of channels do I want to use, and I can track my followers or subscribers. I write down if I want to have a promotion that month, and then I put down any notes or action items here. So the idea is here to not lose sight with single posts or videos or stories. Okay, so let's imagine the month has 30 days, and you have 5 pillars. So that means 6 posts each. 6 branding posts, for example, your why, behind the scenes, staff members, and so on. 6 authority posts, frequent asked questions, interviews, debunk myths, etc. 6 inspirational posts, 6 community posts, and 6 promotional posts. So you put this all into, so and then I go further, like from the big eye view and the ideas, I put this in a monthly template. So I have, this is the month, like weekly, and then I have those columns that, or the topics, the pillars, I have them in different colors so that I don't get confused. And then I write down what happens what could I do each month? And that doesn't mean I have to write the single post or video. For now, that is just a hint. So when I'm going through this, it might look like that. So the 5-pillar system put into action for you might be brand. You might tell a story, like a funny or interesting anecdote from your office, because remember, you want to be authentic. And or you have a motivational quote. You can ask your fans when it comes to authority for content ideas, even like find out what issues or problems they have. You can ask them. Or with news, you just share a news article or blog post that is related to your cause. So I think this gives like a good idea of how you can come from this bird's eye view and put the 5 pillars into work. And what you then want to do is you want to repeat it again and again and again. So you always have brand, authority, promotion, community or news, and inspiration. And no matter if you decide you post once a day or 5 times a day, you always circle, like you always repeat that system. You don't post 5 authority posts or 6 quotes, like you go and do this. So, and this is the 5-pillar system, the 5 pillars of brand, authority, promotion, community, inspiration, and brand. So this basically it, I hope this really helps you to get an understanding of how you can work in this system. And I have one last slide here. So you will get of course, the presentation itself, but I would also like to give you the 5-pillar worksheet. Like this is like a blank sheet, and a persona template, the one that I just showed you, and 30 days of planned content. So basically what I showed you here for like the whole month. And this is the download if you would like to do that. And just in case you're interested, and because we just released it yesterday, we have like the whole year planned out for 2020. We have 366 days of planned content, and we have already, and I think we have over like 200 awareness days and holidays, and with hashtags and everything. And because I'm so grateful that you're here today, if you want to do this, like I have a discount of 30%. The whole calendar is $47 US, but with the discount you get 30% off. And this is just for you guys because I so appreciate that you are here. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'm free to answer them.
Hi, Kristen. That's fantastic. Yes, we do have some great questions coming in. Sorry, the chat box has been very busy the last couple of minutes, so I'm slightly distracted here. Let's go back to early on in your presentation when you were talking about personas. We had quite a few questions coming in about that. First of all, do you have any tools that you can recommend to help people get started with developing those personas?
Yes. So like the one is like the basic sheet that I shared, but how do you fill it? I think that is the question. So like one idea is really to imagining like your perfect client, and then you can back it up. Like if you have on your website, if you have Google Analytics installed, it's a great tool. Like you can go in there and actually see what is the age range of the people that visit your website and what are their interests. You can see like what devices they use and as I said, interest. And the best tool is to interview them. Like you can have a couple of questions, and then you just need to ask them. And I do that on a regular basis when we create a rebrand for nonprofits. We interview them, and then based on that, we want to find a thread that goes through. And you can also, if you don't want to do that, like having a survey is a good tool too, to get input with regards to creating a persona sheet.
That's very helpful. And the other question that's been coming in about personas is how many? Realistically, how many should they limit to?
Yeah, so I say just not too many. I know it's tempting to have like 30, but that won't help you. Like if you have one for the client, like well, for if you offer several services, then I might like if you offer counseling and on top some programs, then I would do one for each, because it's definitely like one might be just moms while the other one might be, I know, different, like families. So I would do one each, and then like one donor, one volunteer, but just try to keep it simple, because what will happen is when you write towards them, because you're not putting out, we are only serving women 40 years old with 4 kids and with a dog. So this is just in your mind. And so others will follow that, even though you're focusing just on one or two, like others will follow too, and you will catch them as well.
That's great. And another question that we're getting from quite a few folks is about how often to post. Is posting once daily considered pretty standard practice now, or is it too much?
So I think we have to find out what works for you. I know that with Facebook, you really should be there like at least like once a day, but you need to be able to manage it. Like if you can do once a day, that's awesome. Like I know other social media agencies, they say like you have to post like 5 times a day, and on Twitter, depending on the tool. But I would say if you can do like once a day on Facebook, and like I don't know 3 to 5 times on Instagram, like just make it consistent, like make it work for you, because it doesn't help if you say we post 4 or 5 times a day and then you just get to once a week. So I would try to like rather less but more quality, because you don't want to overwhelm people with a lot of stuff that you put out there and then you're scrambling because you have no idea what to post. I would rather say less but consistent, and deeper than too shallow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
That helps.
Absolutely, yeah, it does. And then when we're looking at the posts themselves and balancing those multiple personas, how do you speak to those multiple personas without alienating or desensitizing different ones?
Yeah. So because you're not really saying I'm talking to that one or to that one, your point, like for example with Mary, this would be you're describing a specific feeling or a specific hope or dream that somebody has, and you're connecting with that, rather than saying we are not doing this. You're just focusing on one area, and the people that are interested in that one area, they will follow you. If you're focusing on a different area, then those folks will follow you. So you just need to be specific, so that people that are interested in that specific area are there and engage with you.
Awesome. And I know we're running up on time here, so those of you that need to jump, please know we will send the recording later today, and we are recording this Q&A. But I did want to just finish with one last question about when you were looking at that bird's eye view, Kirsten. How often do you fill that out? Do you do that kind of at the beginning of the year for the year, or do you do that on a monthly basis? What's your suggestion?
Yeah, so I would say, well, if you can do that for the year and just fill out, as really broad some topics that you want to talk, because that it's basically your marketing plan, right? Like you put out what are you focusing on this year, and then while you go through the year, I would sit down like every month and take a look at it. Is that still current? Did something change? Can we adjust it? And then from that, I would print it and put it on my on my desk and look at it and see, like, is it still current? Is that what we want? And if not, how do we adjust it?
Fantastic. So, Kirsten, I think we're going to call it there, just because we are over time. To all of our participants, I want to thank all of you for joining us today, but also for all of your wonderful questions. I know there was a lot that we couldn't get to or that were outside of the scope of today's session. And clearly there's a need for us to maybe look at some future sessions on social media, and we will absolutely do that. And I want to also thank all of you who wrote in such lovely comments and feedback. We haven't been able to respond to all of them individually, but we really appreciate it. And we will make sure that that feedback gets passed along to Kirsten as well. Kirsten, I want to thank you for an absolutely info-packed presentation. You've given us so much to think about and some really great actionable tools as well. Did you have any final comments before we sign off?
I just want to thank you all for being here today. That really means a lot. I hope that you can take action with some of the things that I have presented today. In case you're downloading like the freebie today, we might experience some technical issues. I'm just getting a note here. Don't worry, you will get it. We will send it out. It just might take a little bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirsten. You've probably been flooded with folks looking to download that. Maybe we've jammed up the internet lines there for you. Okay, so I just want to remind all of you, we are going to follow up with you by email this afternoon or tomorrow morning with that webinar recording and the full slide deck as well. Of course, feel free to share that with your teams also. That is publicly available. There will be a short survey that will take less than 5 minutes to fill out. Please do complete that for us. And for those of you that did have questions that were outside of the scope of today's session, you'll have the opportunity there to let us know if there's topics you'd like to see us look at including in next year's webinar planning. So please do fill that out for us. We will also share all of that feedback with Kirsten as well. Our next free webinar is coming up next week on November 14th. We are going to discuss how to get set up with Google Grants to use the free Google AdWords. There will be a link to register in the email that you receive later today. I want to thank again all of you for joining us today, and I hope to see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.